What the? Wrong button. What's up, everybody? What's up, Julie Williams? If you guys are watching live, go ahead and comment and say hello, Luke, so I could say hello back. So today is one of my favorite things to teach about. And if you've been in this for a while, especially since the beginning of quarantine, even before that, you've probably heard this before, but things that get repeated are worth listening to again. That just means they're really important. And so even every time I teach this one, I even uh, learn some new things as well. And we're gonna be talking about the results gaps. What's up, Layla? What's up, Misty? What up, Lisa? Eric in the house. And then, so these results gaps. So for those of you that don't know, I became certified as a John Maxwell coach, which is like for like speaking and for coaching. Really, is kind of what I wanted to get into it for. Um, a lot like a few years ago, and so I'm hey, let's come back. Able to teach a lot of his material, and this is actually his material as well, and he calls them growth gaps. So you could, again, as always, you could put this in any area of your life. So maybe if this is maybe your second, third time, fourth time hearing this, then maybe apply it to a different area of your life. If you've already got like health and fitness covered, maybe how can this go to your relationships? How can this go to your career, your business, spirituality, whatever it may be, whatever area of your life on what we could do. And so, what up, Audrey? So, we're going to be talking about the 8 results gaps. And like everything we talk about, not everything will apply to you. It might. You might be that special person. Um, or it's maybe some have applied to you in the past, and maybe there's some stuff that are new now. But whatever it is, and whatever does apply to you, the main thing that you want to do is just acknowledge it. And that way we could start building the bridge to go from where you are to where you want to be, right? Because that is the gap. So we got to build a bridge over this results gap. All right, so let's get into it. So again, there are 8. So starting with number 1 is one of my favorites to talk about, which is called the assumption gap. And what the assumption gap talks about is just talking about I will automatically keep getting my results. Like I'm going to automatically keep growing without putting in that intention, right? Because it's another whole talk, but it's all about becoming intentional with what we're doing and not just kind of going through the motions. And so the assumption gap, this may be hit home to you. So if you think about it, a lot of time, so like if you think about from birth, like coming out of the womb all the way to being 18, 20, 25, 30 years old, what happened without much effort? We got taller, we got stronger. Many of us were able to just pretty much eat whatever we wanted, and then our body bounces right back. And we're able to do this for years, like over 18 years worth. So in our minds, we assumed that, hey, I could keep this happened the first 20 years of my life. Like, why would it stop? This means I could do this the rest of my life. And assuming that is kind of what made us gain weight now in our 25, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, however old we may be. And it's all based on the assumption gap of what we thought was going to, how we treated our bodies one way is going to keep happening to us the rest of our lives. But then what happens? We get pregnant, we get older. Well, I don't get pregnant. And things just, life happens, right? Or we get busy. And so what we do naturally as humans is we blame that for the reason why we gained weight, right? I gained weight because I had a baby and I never got my body back. I gained weight because I opened a business and I just got too busy to work out. I gained weight because I heard metabolism slows down once you hit your 30s. Instead of saying, I treated my body like trash for 20 years of my life, assuming that it was going to stay the same, but eventually it just caught up to me, right? Something happened in my life and those bad habits just caught up to me. I never took the intention of exercising daily, eating healthy, tracking food, whatever it may be, right? So maybe the assumption gap might hit home for you if with that explanation is just like you assumed what was going to happen the first 20, 25 years of life was going to happen the next 25 years of life. But as we know, that just doesn't happen because eventually our bodies stop growing by themselves. They stop getting stronger by themselves. And we have to be intentional at making that happen ourselves. So that is number one, the wonderful assumption gap. So that may apply to you. That may have not. If it did, it's just all about acknowledging it like, oh, maybe I did assume too much and that's why I'm where I'm at. And now you can start building that bridge to go over that gap from where you are to where you want to be. All right. Number two, the knowledge gap, which is, I don't know how to get results. And I think all of us can definitely relate to this one at some point in our lives. I know for me personally, in the beginning of my journey, I thought I knew how to get results, but obviously I didn't because I struggled for years and years with absolutely zero results. So it's kind of like, I don't know what I don't know. And many of us think we know, right? I was one of them. I was like, I know how to do this. I know how to eat healthy. I know how to exercise. I know how to do this on my own. But for some reason, it's not working, right? And so we just have to kind of build really the main thing with this one to kind of start building that bridge is letting go of the ego and being okay with putting our results in someone else's hand, especially if it's someone that has been where we've been and now has the results that we want. That's the main thing. You just don't want to do it blindly to your friend who's also trying to lose weight. You want to do it to someone who actually has the results and has been through the struggles and has the knowledge to help you out with that. So maybe your biggest piece of where you are to where you want to be could just be knowledge. And you just have to usually what I always say is you either have to make it go faster, you have to pay for the knowledge, meaning you pay someone to teach you the knowledge, or you pay to get certified in the knowledge. So either way, you have to pay. One way is a little bit quicker, one way is a little bit slower, but either way, you're going to learn. Or you could Google a bunch of stuff and hope you're learning the right thing, right? So we have the knowledge gap. We had the assumption gap was number one. Number two is the knowledge gap. And if as we go through this, of course, if you guys have questions or have some experiences, or if like right away you think that's you, go ahead and comment down below so I don't talk to myself. All right, so we have the knowledge gap. Number three is the timing gap. Now, I know everybody at some point in their life has gone through this. It's not the right time to get results, right? How many people wait till Monday to start getting the results? Or we're starting October, so we're about to go through Halloween, we're about to go through Thanksgiving, we're about to go through New Year's. Have you ever in the past, or do you plan on just kind of cruising through these last 3 months and then be serious when January 1st begins, right? Or it's not the right time to get results because the gym is shut down. I'll wait until the gym opens up and then I'm going to get results, right? There's so many ways we could go about this. And all of these applied to me at some point in my life. And I think I told you guys before, but when I very first got my first results, age 25, when I actually became serious. I remember I started, it was either a Thursday or Friday night. I know it was one of those 2 days, and it was like 4 p.m. I just remember it was 4 p.m. And I remember I had bad food earlier that day. Like I wasn't really focused on anything, but then I was just so sick and tired of waiting and all this stuff. I was like, you know what? I am starting right now. And I started eating healthy from that moment through the weekend. Like I didn't wait till Monday. I didn't wait till the morning. I didn't wait till anything. I just said, there is no right time. And we've heard this so many times, yet we keep telling ourselves reasons on why we should wait. And then also the second time I got results, my latest results was actually 1 year. Uh, in 9 days, it'll be 1 year. So I started on October 30th, was when I hired my coach, and I knew the next day was Halloween, and I knew Thanksgiving, everything was coming up, but it it was just too painful to keep going the way I was, and I needed to get the results that I knew I could. So if you're waiting till something happens in your life and you think all the stars are going to align, then maybe the timing gap applies to you. And again, there's nothing wrong with any of these applying to you. Like I said, all of them applied to me in my life. It's just, again, acknowledging it. And that way you can start taking the steps you need to take to build that bridge. So we had the assumption gap number one, just assuming that you're automatically what worked for you in the past is going to keep working for you in the future. We have the knowledge gap, just not knowing how to get results. We have the timing gap. Number three, we kind of talked about this a lot when it came with the fears, but the mistake gap. I'm afraid of making mistakes. And this is a huge reason why a lot of people either never start or they do start, but they have 1 foot in, 1 foot out the whole time. And as you know, if this has happened to you, if you always have 1 foot out, 1 foot in, and you still have that like skepticism in the back of your mind, it's not going to work. Like if you don't want something to work, it's not going to work. But if you come in with an open mind and just thinking like, I don't care if I make a mistake, like, and understand that every single person, literally 100% of people make mistakes. I still make mistakes every single day almost with my own journey, but the mistakes get less and less. And what happens is your results keep going more. And yeah, you could, again, any area of your life, if you want to succeed in something, you're going to make mistakes. Even if you hire someone and like I could tell you every single mistake I made in the last 10 years of my life and tell you not to do them, you're still going to do them. Like it's just going to happen. But you can make less mistakes and you can learn from those mistakes quicker. So if you're worried about trying something new, or if you're worried about just starting something new because you're going to make mistakes, I promise you're going to make mistakes. So the best way to do that is just do it anyways, as we talked about when it came to the fears. So that was number 4. So we're halfway through. Assumption gap, knowledge gap, timing gap, mistakes gap. I'm going to kind of look at some comment. That used to be me all the time. The timing gap. Yes, trust me, that was everybody. The knowledge gap. I've had the assumption gap, but with assuming I'd never be able to lose weight because of my habits and my age. Oh, that's a good one too. That's another great way to put it is you just like assume future tense. That's great. I like that one. The knowledge gap, I didn't know where to begin, and it's really intimidating. Yes, absolutely. The mistake gap, feeling like I'm going to look stupid because it won't be perfect. Yes. And the timing gap. It's never the right nighttime. You going to sleep, Debbie? All right. So number 5, their perfection gap. I have to find the best way before I start. So this kind of goes aligned with the mistake gap, not wanting to make mistakes. So you try to be perfect before you even begin. So again, if you're someone who's thinking, okay, I got to have, like I have a vacation 3 weeks from now, so I might as well not start anything yet because I don't want to lose weight and then gain weight back and lose weight again. So that star hasn't aligned yet. And then my spouse isn't ready to get healthy yet. So it's just not the perfect time, right? Like I won't be perfect. Like when I start, I want to make sure I lose weight every single day. and we're just talking about the perfection gap. Or the other way to put it is you do start and you hit a roadblock, right? You hit a roadblock and you have one bad meal that you weren't supposed to do, you feel super guilty and you realize that you're not a perfect human and you gained a pound and the whole world starts collapsing around you. And so now you have to wait another whole week until you could really put in the perfect effort again, right? So if you're, again, same thing with mistakes, 100% of people make mistakes, which also means 100% of the people aren't going to do everything perfect. I guarantee I don't do everything perfect. I guarantee you won't do everything perfect. Um, and I'm sorry that I won't do everything perfect for you, but it's going to happen. So yeah, so the perfection gap. So if you're waiting like for the perfect time, or if you think when you start your journey, everything's going to just become perfect for you. And that might be what's holding you back, or you keep sabotaging yourself because it's not perfect all the time. Then maybe the perfection gap might relate to you the most right now. Number 6, the inspiration gap. I think every single person could do this one. I just don't feel like it, right? How many times have you skipped a workout because you just weren't inspired to work out? You weren't motivated to work out, so you just didn't work out. I forgot. Let me see if I could get this right. I would say there's 2 reasons why people start something new. It's either the pain of inspiration or the pain of desperation. So, what made you start? Did you start this journey because you were inspired by seeing someone else's results and that's what got you going? Or did you start your journey because you were desperate and the doctor said, hey, if you don't do something, or if you saw a family member get really sick and you're like, I better start something, or like out of desperation? I know for me, I probably started with inspiration, but then I started getting serious because of desperation. So maybe you're just waiting to be inspired. And one thing I could promise you is 99% of the time, you're not going to feel inspired. You're not going to be motivated. Or at least for me, today, especially, I did not want to work out today. I did not want to do anything today. I had zero inspiration, zero motivation, but guess what? I worked out anyways, just because that's what we do. That's what the successful people do. You do what the unsuccessful people aren't willing to do. Just if you see someone who's extremely fit, if you see someone who's extremely successful, don't think that they're inspired all the time and they're motivated all the time to do the boring stuff. They just do it anyways because they're more inspired of what's going to happen 5 years, 10 years, 20 years from now than how they're feeling in the moment. So if you feel like you have to be inspired or motivated to actually get off the couch to work out, or to wake up early to get that workout in because you know you're going to be tired later after work, then just, again, acknowledge it, start building the gap that, hey, I'm not going to be inspired most of the time, and that's okay. I will do it anyways because that's who I am and that's what I promised myself. So maybe it's the inspiration gap. We have 2 more, only 2 more already. So we had the assumption gap, the knowledge gap, the timing gap, the mistake gap, the perfection gap, the inspiration gap. You got it. I have a doctor's appointment in November and I am nervous. All right, Audrey, we're all going to wait for your, I want you to post your doctor's notes in this Facebook group in November. Oh. The comparison gap. I think this was part of our fears gap as well. The fear of comparing ourselves or seeing other people as well. So the comparison gap. Others are better than I am. And this, again, I know this one was big for me, especially starting out. And again, there's few ways there's 2 different ways really that you could go about this. One, you could compare yourself to people who are better than you, and that's going to constantly keep you in one place and never be able to grow because you never think you're going to be as good as that person, but you don't know that person's whole story, right? How many times have people started like a boot camp? When our gym was open, you started our boot camp. It was like your first week, you felt like you were terrible, and you see someone next to you just absolutely crushing it, and then you start comparing yourself to them. But little do you know that person's been working out for 5 years already, and that's why they're as good as they are. So you can't compare yourselves to other people. We all are on a different journey. And then vice versa, you can't compare yourself to people who are less than you, who are worse than you, because again, that's not going to put you in a growth mindset. You're going to be like, oh, I'm already good enough. At least I'm better than them. I don't need to get any better, right? I know this one's huge. Like constantly, I kept hearing like my dad is overweight. He's losing a lot of weight now, but I just remember we would always walk around theme parks or things like that, and he would always look at someone else and he would say like, "Oh, at least I'm not that overweight," right? Like, what does it matter how overweight you are? You're overweight. You're unhealthy. You're going to die earlier than you need to die. So comparing himself to people who were less than him to make himself feel better just wasn't gonna work anyway. So there's two ways we could compare ourselves: to people who are better than us, which makes us feel inferior, and the people who are worse than us, which makes us feel superior. And either way, you're not going to get results because of that thinking. So maybe, or subconsciously, kind of dig down deep, and maybe this one might be with you on why you're not hitting that next level is because you're comparing yourself to other people. And then finally, I think this last one, the expectation gap. And every single one of us, no matter where you're at in this journey, could relate to this one. Is I thought it would be easier than this, right? How many of you were so inspired, you were motivated, you even had the perfect timing, like every star was aligned, you start your journey, and what? I only lost 1 pound in a week. I've been eating healthy for 3 days and nothing has changed yet. Like you just thought it would be easier than this. Like because you made that decision to finally make the change and you eat health, you thought like you were motivated for the first one to maybe the first week. And then the next week you start going back into that old mindset and you just thought it would be easier than this. Like I made the decision. I signed up for this program. Like everything should just automatically change. Right. But in reality, anything worth doing, as we constantly hear, and we hear this stuff all the time, but it just kind of slips through our mind when it actually gets put into our lives. But like everything worth doing is hard. And if it was easy to be in shape and to constantly keep the weight off in America, then 80% of our nation would not be overweight. Right? So you just have to kind of put things in perspective of the journey that it's going to take to get to where you want to be. And I know for me, even when I first began, me and my brother actually both talked about this on the live that we did. I think it was on Monday, where usually we see our results around 4 weeks. Like I remember starting my brand new journey. I hired a coach. I tracked my food perfectly. I ate great for 4 weeks, and I was disappointed on the results that I saw in 4 weeks. Like, yeah, I lost a little bit of weight. I saw a little bit of changes, but I remember in my mind back in the day, like if I ate great for 4 weeks, my body would snap back, but it wasn't snapping back. And this time it actually took me 6 months to get my body back. That usually would take 1 to 3 months. And so I just thought it would be easier than that. But luckily, I've been doing it a while and I knew I just had to trust the journey and go off different things other than what I felt, and kind of go through it. And that's probably the biggest kind of side note here when it comes to getting your results is you have to learn how to take the emotion out of it and just kind of go through the journey, trust the process, trust the system, and just keep going through it. And when you feel like you're having an off day, like you have to look at as many statistics that you can and not go off your emotions. Because if we all go off emotions, myself included, we would never get to where we want to be. And so, again, here's the 8 gaps that we covered. And so, again, if you're part of the Lean for Halloween, or even if you're not and you're just listening, what I suggest is put it out there, put it out into the world. Just comment down below, like what gap resonates with you the most. If it's more than one, great. And then what kind of steps can you take to start building that bridge from where you are to where you want to go? And again, so as you can see, we had the assumption gap, automatically assuming, or as Layla put, which was amazing, that you assume that you can't get results. And that's that's probably even bigger than the one I was even talking about. We have the knowledge gap, the timing gap, the mistake gap, perfection, inspiration, comparison, and the expectation. Used to be paralyzing until I finally did realize everyone is on their own unique journey. Absolutely. The inspiration gap for me is not having that back up or support that I'm doing good or that I can do it. You got it. Oh yeah. So Audrey, I'm waiting for that doctor's note in, in November. All right, guys. So hopefully this was some of value to you, and you learned something new, even if you heard if this is your third or fourth time hearing it from me. And I promise it won't be your last time hearing it from me. And have a wonderful Wednesday evening.